Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to teach you how to draw and paint some really cute Christmas card designs. It's so simple when you break it down with circles and squares and triangles to draw a cute penguin and a snowman. If you're having difficulty, I have a couple videos where I'm teaching you how to draw a snowman, but here's a little penguin. I didn't throw in the present in the drawing, but you know, just squares, you could figure it out. And if you're a Patreon member, you get the bonus of the cute little bear. If you want to be a Patreon member, click the description box and click the link in the description box for the Patreon. You can join and cancel anytime. We have extended videos, extra on the YouTube, and weekly exclusive that are not on YouTube that are really more in depth than I do on YouTube, a little more advanced. And also, we get first dibs in watercolor workshops and retreats. We have a Facebook group, live stream, etc., etc. A lot of good stuff on there. It's just a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate so much. Anyway, without further ado, let's get painting and drawing these cute little characters, and I teach you about how to make their faces change up a little bit, etc., etc. So if you want to change it up for your own, purposes. And let's get started. All right, so to begin with, to draw anything kind of cute, animal, etc., etc., whatever you want to draw, think of simple shapes, right? Circles, squares, triangles, circles, squares, triangles, rectangles, all that good stuff, right? So to draw a penguin or a snowman, again, circles and squares and triangles. So circle. Start off with a smaller circle, maybe more oval going this way, and then a longer oval like this way, right? And then for the face, we're going to go like a little, we're going to take this, actually we're going to do rectangle for the scarf. So think of rectangle, just draw like a simple rectangle for the scarf. You can kind of get more detail by indenting it, but there's the scarf, right? And then you can put the little knot here on the end and put out some nice little bottom of the scarf swaying out this way, that way. Now, you can see that this maybe is too skinny for the penguin. You can make him a little fatter. Pull it out. The little arms, again, kind of wing triangles like that. And then for the face, again, like an upside down W, right? Or an M. And then you do the beak, which is like a little triangle. And then you put the little teeny eyes, right? We already have a penguin. Then for the hat, you can make whatever kind of hat you want. You can make like a Santa hat, curve it, fitting the head, right? Go from the end to end. Do a little curve here, here, and then connect those. And then you're just swinging this down. Swing that down, and then you meet it here, and then you can do a little pom-pom. And then for the body, you want to start like kind of here and go in here, and that's the body. And for the feet, again, it's kind of like a little half moon with little bumps. So they're like this, half moon with 1, 2, 3, right? Just do a small one, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and there's your penguin. Snowman is super, super simple. I have tons of tutorials on snowmen. Again, circles. I just do 2 circles. You could do 3, and a bigger one on the bottom. And then again, if you want the scarf, you're going across. Now, obviously, you're going to erase this area because you're going to be painting it. Again, with the scarf, little knot. You can swing it out or not. Have one under here. And how you paint it is how it becomes like more special, right? Obviously, the buttons. And then for the nose, you can make the nose in a variety of different places. I have mine coming up like here. And the eyes. And then the hat on an angle. Skinny little rectangle. And then a really half circle. So it's like a bowler hat. And then you can put little details like the lovely little holly, etc., etc. And then, of course, the arms, just like stick arms. The smile can be a line or it can be just little dots. And then you can put snow, little bumps like that. These are simple things, simple shapes, right? You can make a simple bunny, again, circle, little, I don't know what you can call it, circles, but if you want to make ovals, and then just cut it off here. And then again, little things like this. You can make the body into an oval. You can have the feet kind of like the duck feet, but they're kind of simple. A little pom-pom from the body. Add a little scarf. You don't have to have hands, but if you want to have hands, maybe they kind of like go out like this on the side. And of course, little eyes. These are how you make little cute things, right? The snowman's face can change in a variety of different ways. So I had the nose going that way. You can have the nose going up this way. And then the eyes are here. See? You can have the nose going this way, and then the eyes are here. You can have the nose going down, and the eyes are here. You see how you're doing that? The different perspective of the snowman way up here, and you won't really see the eyes. You'll see his mouth, right? Of course, the scarf. So you can have its head going many different ways, all that good stuff. And same thing for the penguin, actually. You can have the penguins kind of, this would be different. If you want the beak over here, the triangle, again, the indentation will go over the triangle, and you have the two little eyes, and that's how you change the face perspective of that guy. So I hope this drawing lesson was good. Hope you'll learn something. You can slow down the video. Really draw your own cute little snowman. You can have the hands holding a ball, an ornament, right, or a present. Whatever you want. You can have things hanging off the arms, words, you know, Merry Christmas. Think outside the box. You know, I give you guys tons of ideas to think outside the box. I have my penguin and my snowman here, and if you're like a patron, like I said, you get the bonus with the bear. Oh, sorry, making noise. Again, you can draw it out. You can use ink. If I'm going to use ink, I always suggest, I like this Sharpie fine point pen. It's permanent, so you can paint right over if you're going to use ink. If you don't want to use ink, that's fine. Or you can paint it, then use ink. Don't have to use ink at all. But I'm saying, if your strong suit is drawing, you draw it out. It's better for you than painting, I guess, if you're beginning painting. But once you draw it, you can just wash into color. You don't have to have a full-on snowman situation or penguin, right? And for colors, for the snowman, a penguin, I like to play around with the backgrounds. It can be anything you want. Here I'm like loosening up some ultramarine blue, and then I'll loosen up some burnt sienna. The combination of the two make a nice gray, and it's kind of a granulated wash when you use them because they fight against each other, and it's really beautiful colors, all that good stuff. Now, depending on what you want to do, if you don't want to do like a you don't want to use expensive paper. This is Arsh 100% cotton cold pressed paper. It's like a, what is it? Like, I would say almost like a 5x7 piece. But you could use cheaper paper and just use the Sharpie pen and just wash in the color. You don't have to use Arsh for this. If you want to use Arsh, you can use Arsh for those beautiful granulated colors on the paper. But again, not necessary. Depends what you want to do, especially if you're a beginner and you want to spend that kind of money, you know, blah, blah, blah. And different ways to play around with it. And mixing up colors. Now, I just basically used just a sheet of the Arsh, and then you could tape it down on some simple, like cardstock, craft paper, any color you want, and that way you're saving some money on the Arsh paper too. It might be good to tape it down just to have it stable a little bit. I'll just put it some like Scotch magic tape just to tape this like snowman down to make it stable. And you could paint around him to keep him white, or you can paint him with some shadow, which we could do also, and all that good stuff. It depends on how you want to do it, right? You can paint that first, last, all around in between. Okay, so let's get started. Mix up any colors you want for a sky. I like to use ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, makes a nice gray blue color. And the more blue you use, the more bluish gray, vice versa. So the consistency is pretty wet. It's almost like tea, coffee tea. See how I keep changing the color? What's great about this, and always mix up a good amount of this, because this is 100% cotton paper. It's going to soak it all up. What happens if you don't mix enough paint, it can be a problem trying to recreate the color in time to get it that way. You might want to start off light. I wouldn't start off dark. The paint will dry lighter, by the way. So the consistency here right now is this lovely little bluish gray. And I'm just going to go right in for it. I'm actually going to dip my brush in some more water as I just put it on here. So mine's more of a like blue-gray, slatey kind of color. Going to go around my little guy here and his scarf. Even the nose I have to go around a little bit because I don't want the color to change. It will be tricky if you're using a brush like this, but I like to challenge myself. I am using the number 12 Neptune series. I don't have to worry about where the hand's going to go, because it's going to be much darker. I will have to worry about everything else. So just painting around those areas. And if I mess it up a little bit, so it's not going to matter. I kind of made the little hat a little smaller. It was like really kind of funky and big. So now I got that part done. You go in that initial part. And then this part you can get much looser because it's not as tight. So the negative painting, you're painting around the area. I'm not going to go to the edge of the paper. Just going to kind of go out around here. Now, because we're painting on arch paper, you can bleed in colors wonderfully in this paper. You can see the granulated wash already happening. I'm really taking the tip of my brush and being careful where my stuff is going to go here. Boop, boop, boop. And now I can make the paint even darker. I'll add more pigment. See how thick I'm going to put this ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. Thick, like minimal water. It's going to make it darker and thicker, and I can bleed this. See? I have a nice bleed because of the paper, because of how wonderful this paper is. The more beautiful the cotton paper is, the better the bleed. You know, you have a beautiful granulated washes you can do with arch paper and Fabriano and Bohong, because they're really well made cotton papers. I'm just kind of bleeding in some of this dark color around my snowman dude. I can kind of go out here too. Now it could be light in the background. You don't have to make it dark. I'm choosing to do that. And I'm keeping this area kind of light, and hopefully it bleeds nicely. And you can get even darker, more blue, with more pigment. See, barely any water here. I'm going to add even deeper color, more blue tones, right on the right. Play around with it. It's up to you. This is your picture. As I'm playing around with this, I could take this color, loosen it up, right? And can play around with the snow, adding in that color here. See, I water it down and I tap it on a paper towel so it's really light. We just want the little like highlights on the snow so you know it's snow. Tapping, moving the brush, just like that. And then you can start to play with doing that on the belly of the snow guy, right? On the bottom here, on the left. I'm not going to touch here because I don't want it bleeding because it's wet. You can do under his little hat. I still have the number 12. I like to use a big brush. It forces you to be a little looser. And personally, that's what I like. So I'm just going to go real quick, filling this in. All right, I'm going to let that guy dry. While you're letting him dry, you can start to play around with maybe going to the penguin. All right, I'm going to switch out here and there. This part is going to be mostly like white, and then he's got the gray. So you could play around with adding a little blue color here, just with your brush, tapping that little blue color here where the white part would be for the penguin. And of course the snow. See, we're trying to use the colors up that we're playing with real quickly. In the body. And you want to paint his scarf, everything like before you go into doing his body, which would be like almost like a Payne's gray black. So again, here's the little pom-pom. Now I didn't add the color on him this time. I did it the opposite way. I'm going to paint him, and then if we want to add the color in the background, we can. So I'm using a little blue going around the edges of the pom-pom, and I could do the brim of the hat if I want to make it more like a Santa hat. You can make it any kind of hat you want to do. Just moving the brush around. Minimal paint. I'm hardly using this paint. Just moving around the paper and all the areas that would be white. Just kind of dry brushing some of this too. See, he's standing in snow. Maybe put a little blue under here, like a shadow of his little feet, etc., etc. Again, I'm still using this brush, right? So for the scarf, I might switch a brush. I might switch into the 8 long round and grab some red colors. I have Pyro Red Rubin and Cadmium Red Light. I like to mix the two together. It's like a nice combo. Now you can make the scarf any way you want. If you want to have some shadow to it, you could take the blue first. Put a little shadow there, and then here on the scarf, under here, and under the scarf. we can put the shadow in first, wait till it dries, and then go over with our red. It's a little trick that is kind of fun to play with. And then you go ahead and you put the red over it. You could do it the opposite way where the red's dry and you can go over that. It depends. Sometimes it mushes it, so it might work better in the favor to kind of do it now. Different ways to play with putting in the shadow. And I put the little gray here on the hat. Now, for the cap, like a Santa cap, I would grab that Princeton 8 long round and put in that red color. You could do one wash and then add some darker color. Just a simple wash. And I try and move pretty quickly. Again, why? Because I want it loose. I don't want a serious picture, and I don't want to take a long time. You could take a long time to paint these things, but I don't think it's necessary. Just put in all your red colors. So this is still damp. You can make this much darker and give it some love, or making some shadows or depth. The Pyro Rubin itself, and just tap in that deeper color because it's going to dry kind of really light. And see how I'm tapping in this deeper color on the edges of the red cap, on the top and the bottom. It gives it that three-dimensional kind of look. Again, this is a preference for me, not necessary for you. It just changes a little bit. Now, testing my little guy here, and I'll show you. I'm going to make a simple scarf plaid. So again, you could take the brush, hold it on its side, and just kind of move it down like this. See, it kind of looks like stripes right now. Then you kind of move it this way, what the knot is, and the lovely scarf going downward. All right, remember we put that shadow color down first. Go this, and we have to wait till this red dries. And we're going to cross over the red color that we put down. By the way, we can make a really cute little cheek by watering down the red and zooming in where his cheek would be, and just put a little cheek here, a little red dot. Clean off your brush, and then we can kind of blend the edges. Just go on the outside of that little red dot and go in again. Just little techniques. Just blending. Make it soft and sweet. For the presents, you can keep them red. I had drawn, simple little bows. You can do simple little present bows. It's up to you. And again, the shadows too. Take those shadows that we talked about. I'm going to mix my shadow color. That one side, it's on the shade. Kind of put that shadow color in there. Not necessary for everybody. If you want to do that, I'm going to do that. It can make it a little bit lighter too, but I'm going to put that color in. And then we can paint over it. Any color you want the present to be. Green, red, whatever, etc., etc. Moving along, the beak is, I would mix, this is like cadmium yellow deep. You can add a touch of cadmium red light to make more of an orangey yellow. It's up to you. You can keep it what it is. It's simple. Just put that little color in for the feet. Really just going to go pretty quickly with this. Little peak for the nose. The triangle. Remember our red that was here? We're going to wait for that to dry. So now we can go and put the little penguin color in. I'm going to use, this is Paynes Gray. It's almost like a black. Watering it down and fill in the little penguin dude. You could wait till it's completely dry to do this at the last minute to put in the penguin color. Depends if you want to move around the paper or not fast. I'm just going to fill in. That's the body color. Now I'm thinking about this area, and I would want to have the little red phrase, so I'm going to have to paint around them by putting the red phrase in first and then paint around them. So I did get a little black in here, but you can just remove it. Okay, so that red is dry that we had before. I'm going to mix up some more red. Loosen up with some water. So you want it pretty loose, like a tea consistency or coffee. And why is that? So when you crisscross the two colors, I mean the same color, but when you crisscross it, you'll have this lovely, almost like a gingham check, right? If it's too thick and opaque, you're not going to get that plaid looking check. You see that? Now you can see the check. And where the two meet, you can go in and add some darker color. So here is the crisscross. And go down here. See the crisscross and make a perfect little check. Very cute. Right? Pretty simple. We'll let this dry and we'll go in here where they meet and put a deeper color of red. That was super simple. And we can add some more depth with the colors. I'm going to go back with my Paynes gray. So yeah, here you might have to be a little tricky, painting in between the little phrase of the scarf. And that's why we have a pointy, tiny little brush. Going in here, doing the bottom of the penguin body. You just get a little careful by using the Princeton 8 long round. And I'll go in here. Just like so. And I didn't do the top part yet. Again, you have more control with this kind of brush than the 12 Neptune series. It's more of a floppy, loose brush. And the 8 long round is a little stiffer and you have more control for something like this. And just filling in his face with the Paynes gray. Really cute. The eye can just be simple dots. If you don't want to paint it, you can just draw with the pen. See, I can just do little simple dots for eyes. And he's really sweet. You know, and you get a little more strategic with your thing. So the presents can be green. I would use cadmium yellow deep, add a little Prussian blue. You get a nice green, right? Remember we painted that gray first? So why? Put the green here. I'm leaving a space for like the ribbon. And then we paint the green over here. And it's already darker because we have that gray tone, right? And then just kind of fill it in here, in between your ribbon. I'm just going to go really super loose. Like I said, this is not a tight situation here. Make it a little more of a chartreusey kind of green, bright green. It could be blue, whatever color you want. I'm putting a green over here. It doesn't have to be this color. And see how it got darker because I had that shade already in there. I'm just really loosely painting this. I think people get really stuck that they have to make it perfect. And that's not necessary. Mine is definitely not perfect, and I like it that way. You get a little more strategic with your shadows. Going back with my blue here. I don't know why it's not activating. Get a little deeper in some of these little areas, like under his feet. Over here, this present, I have a present in the front. I'm just going really quickly here. Using some dry brush. Can water it down. Add a little more blue. It's up to you. Just kind of mushing it for snow. Removing it if I didn't like it too much with a little paper towel. Not too much. I don't like to use paper towels too much. I end up wrecking it sometimes. And the same thing with the little ball. I'm going to grab more blue than gray and add a little more depth with this blue color on the hat. It's up to you. And like in here, this little belly gives a little more depth in here on his face. Again, so remember I talked about the reds. In between the two reds, you just go in here and you fill in the deeper part, the deeper square. And that's pretty much it for your penguin. Again, you can get more detailed as you go. I might just go in and throw in a simple red present here. And I'll do a different, like a deep green bow. This one I'll just put a simple red bow. Again, like I'm not putting in perfect kind of ribbons. You don't need to. So here I'll just add the red simple ribbon here, kind of clicking, going downward, little wiggles there. And for the last little bow, make it a deeper green. Let's see. On this one, a little bit darker green than we have on this one. Just a simple bow. And that's our cutie penguin. And you can do kinds of more details on the present. You could add little dots, you know, little green ditzy dots, etc. Moving on back to the snowman. Remember him? This area is all dry. Little hat that I had in the drawing. You know, I showed you, you can put little band here and little berries, etc. And again, with this scarf, maybe you can use a combination of red. I'm just going to do some simple red plaid here. Again, little skinny ones. Now we're using skinny lines. We don't cross over yet. And we can make a combination with some green. So maybe green, red and green. And then we'll crisscross. Oop, that one bled. It happens. It happens. Don't freak out. I know everyone freaks out when things just aren't perfect, and I don't understand that. It's just paint. You're not painting like a masterpiece with these cards, right? And the nose, of course, yellow and cadmium red light make a perfect orange, as you see over here. And you go in here and put the little color for the nose. Paint that in. You want to get technical, you can put a deeper orange shadow on the bottom of it. So get a little more red in here. And I'll just tap in a little bit on that bottom so it looks more three-dimensional. Not necessary. We talked about the cheek, like we did with the penguin. Water down that red. Just add a little bit of that. See, I add a little tap of red and kind of wiggling the paint with the cheek. Just so slightly pink, right? The hat, you know, if you want to have green with the berries, I think I'm just going to do a red hat. You can add whatever you want. Just going to do red and then make the rest with the paynes gray. Like I said in the drawing, you can add holly leaves, etc. Now under here, I'll go back with my blues. It dried so light. We want some shadows. So I'm adding in some of those lovely little bluish grays that I mixed up here. The shadow under the scarf. Under here would be a shadow. Don't make it super dark, but you're going to get a shadow in here. See? And I'll take some water and kind of just mush that so it blends lovely. Okay, now it's going to pop that little scarf. And then, of course, on this side, little blue. The snowman wouldn't be super white. Now that we got our background kind of dry, we can kind of go in here and put in some more depth with the snowman. Right? Take this colors that we had. I'm going to grab my brushes, getting more water on it. Not more color, just water. And then I just mush it. Again with here, adding some more blue. Right? I'll clean up my brush, just add water, and kind of mush it. That shadow. You don't want to get too crazy. And here I'm going to mush it again. Just with water, by the way. I'm grabbing water. If there's too much excess, I tap it on the paper towel. I can go back in and add a little more blue. But that's how I make my shadows in my snowman. Really kind of simple. And you can get a little more depth again, adding in some deeper color, thicker paint. Less water. Really, look at that. Just pops, right? Real depth in there. That's how you do it. That's a little too more blue. You can make it a little more gray, but again, you can add it here while it's still damp. Change it up a little bit. And, of course, the snow shadow. You can make it a little bit darker on this side. Because, you know, if it's coming from this way, the light, it would be darker on the left. I mean, the right, excuse me. Losing my brains today. And of course, I'm just going to add a little more shadow here. Right? This is still too damp to add any buttons or anything because it will bleed. So I'm testing out this. You can go back into the cross of the red. Skinny stripe. Skinny stripe, because remember the green's going to go under it. And then over here on the knot. And then here. And then we're going to add our green. I have Prussian blue and the cadmium yellow deep. Okay, my green, watering it down. We want that translucentness, and we want the water consistency to be more on like the coffee tea side. I'm just getting this really loose. Okay, so then we can go back in and do our cross with the green right under the red. And we have a really kind of cute kind of Christmas plaid. Isn't that cute? We haven't done the frays in the ends. You can make them really kind of thick. And you can go back and do the same thing I did with the penguin with the deeper red. On the hat, we can make a little deeper red on the ends. You know, it kind of dries light. So if you want to go back in and make it really kind of concentrated, you can change that because it kind of looks like pink now. And then I'm going to add the Paynes gray for the hat once that dries. I'm going to loosen this up like a nice black bowler type hat. Okay, so there's the Paynes gray. It's dry. I'll go in and put that in there. What's great about Paynes gray is that, you know, you're over the blue and you don't have to worry about so much. Now you can kind of just bleed a little bit. See how I'm leaving a little bit of white? I might add some water or just blend it where it's really light. See? So it has more of a three-dimensional look instead of just being flat. And then we'll put in the little bottom rectangle part. Again, just fill that in. It's just a little trick to make that boiler hat a little more three-dimensional. Add in the buttons here. I do like a circle. Draw a circle with my paintbrush. Draw another circle inside. If you want to get real technical, I'm leaving some white in there. See? I'll show you real quick. Circle. Draw a little circle. I'm still leaving some of the color in there. And we can do a little shadow next to that. And then the eyes, just simple little dots. You can get super technical. But it's a card. You don't have to go crazy. And then you could do like a line or dots. And I might just go do some little simple dots coming under the scarf and then coming back up. Kind of cute. And that's just like a little mouth. All this stuff becomes little details, right? The Paynes gray for the little arms. I kind of wiggle this so it looks like real twigs. And have it kind of here. I have him kind of more to the right. So he could be holding something. I didn't have him holding something, but you could have him holding something. And like I said, get the thicker with the paint if you want it to be really almost like a black boiler hat. And over here, play around with that. So you want that three-dimensional kind of look. You can add the holly, not add the holly. Last details, you can add the little threads coming down from the scarf. I might go back in and fill in like, you know, like I said, where the color meets the color, you get a little darker. These add just the extra little fine details because it turns it from like a beginner skill level looking into more like a professional skill level, right? Just a little cross section where the red meets the red. And then if you want to have some white snow, I'm going to go and grab some gouache. Now you can splatter it or strategically place it around the back so it doesn't look like a mess, or both. Sometimes it's nice to splatter it. Makes your life a little easier. And it looks a little like more realistic because it's around his body and him. Cute, right? And I didn't talk about the shadow on the button, but I think you guys could figure it out. I can take a gray, kind of the grays that I have, little blue gray, and put a little shadow next to the button. Up to you, you know. That's pretty much it for the snowman. And we didn't put a color around the penguin. We can do that also. Similar to this, you know, I might go back and do that. My green's a little dull. I might have made them a little bit brighter in the future. I can go back in. You can always kind of fix things a little bit. Adding like a bright yellow and green. See, I can fix that. Almost like right out of the tube. And then it's like, oh, so bright again. I fixed that. These are just little techniques to create some really cute little snowman characters, right? Like I said, I might go back in later and add in behind the penguin and splatter some snow, right? But for this intents purposes, that's it. And like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you get the bonus bear one. So stay around if you're a Patreon member. And thank you guys for stopping by my channel. And if you want to join Patreon, just click the link in the description box and you can join and cancel anytime. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Take care and happy painting.